Hi, hi.
Hi.
So that was a really good question. Can you repeat that?
What's the exchange rate from the Russian ruble to the US dollar?
Okay, so the Russian ruble to the US dollar, the current exchange rate is, anybody Google it for me?
66 rubles to $1.
To the dollar.
66 to 1. Okay, so, and the ruble, if you look and you try to convert some of these rubles into dollars, what does that mean as far as cost of living? So what we'd heard before was that it would be very expensive, and I've heard from my own friends that are from, actually I have one friend from Siberia that has visited and tried to live in Moscow and said that it's very, very expensive. It's very hard to find housing there, so housing is at a shortage. Although, as we said before, people are trying to move into the core, and most specifically into Moscow, just because there's a lot of jobs. Also, there's a lot going on. There's opera, there's a lot of facilities, a lot of restaurants, parties, it's fun, lots of people, exciting. But what about cost of living? So how does that compare? What did we find?
It's actually comparable.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising when we went over the figures because let's say in a California, it was comparable to maybe trying to live in Moscow might be comparable to trying to live in a California city. For instance, I believe a Big Mac was $5 US, and rent really was where there was a big disparity. Rent in Moscow showed up as being far higher than the other regions. In comparison with, say, Novosibirsk, which is considered to be in Siberia. It's a big city in Siberia right here. According to our regions, it's actually in the southeastern frontier. But if you compare an apartment in Novosibirsk with an apartment in Moscow, the one in Novosibirsk is 3 times cheaper than the apartment. I think the one in Moscow, when we were looking at 3-bedroom apartment, would be $1,000, and in Novosibirsk, a lot less. So it depends on where you live, what region you live in. But food prices didn't look to be that unreasonable when you compare it with US prices. Utilities look to be quite reasonable. And again, there's a natural resource economy there, oil and gas economy, so actually the utilities costs, and it's quite cold there, less than $100 on average per month. And that's for all the utilities. It's pretty good.
What was the average income?
And the average income, didn't we say $1,200 per month? So, very good question. All right, well thanks, we'll see you next time.